Conspiracy therapy.
Conspiracy therapy.
We've seen specifically in recent times the hijacking and the changing of definitions of words
Yep.
just in the last
Especially.
fucking handful of years. Think
Yep.
about the course of humanity, how they hijack words, how they. This is why I say like the English language is the ultimate language of magic because it's so easy to manipulate and you can
It's ever
you
changing.
can but it's not because the core terms are still the core terms, but you can make people think and adopt them as different ways, but they still mean what they mean. You know what I'm saying? That's why
Right. The
I really enjoy
dictionary
when
gets
people
bigger
break
every day,
down.
bro.
Yeah, yeah. But I really enjoy when people break down. Like, remember how they say, "How can you park in a park in a driveway and drive in a parkway?" You know, that kind of
Yeah.
shit. Like, you're like, "Fuck, man,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
that
doesn't make
really
any
is
sense.
a brain scratcher." Like when people break down words, like, dude, it's
Right.
so fascinating.
I'm gonna have to look at some more of that
So,
shit. It's kind of funny now.
I like
yeah,
those sayings that really make you think. Kind of like
yeah,
the
dude.
one where if you get married to someone, you automatically start sleeping with a relative, with a family member.
True.
I can't say that I've heard that one.
That's why I'm
but
never
yeah,
getting married
okay.
again. Never fucking a relative in my life again. No more marriage.
Let me see here. What do I got? What else do I got? Okay. So I'm gonna say because I'm a flat earther that if there is a hollow Earth, which I do think it's very possible, and I got some things that kind of will support it. They're not. We'll just say they're not accredited. Uh, it's not an accredited resource, but it kind of makes you wonder, and you go, man, that kind of makes sense, and it goes along with kind of what I think. But uh, if there is a hollow Earth or a sub Earth or whatever you want to call it, it only can happen in the North Pole, right?
Okay. Sorry, missed it.
That,
Had to touch my wiener.
I'm saying that if there is an entrance to the hollow Earth, it's only at the North Pole.
How do you figure?
Oh, and not
That's
both. Well,
Oh, because
because
Antarctica isn't a pole; it's just a wall.
right,
Gotcha.
right.
Right. Unless you
And
have holes, unless that's another way to get in. Maybe it's not a hollow Earth.
so
Maybe people think it's hollow Earth because they're going through the wall, and they're like, "Oh, we must be going into another
Speaking of-
land," right? And they're just going through that wall. Bam! And they're like, "Oh, we're inside, but you're
Yeah.
still outside." You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, you never know.
It's the
I
land
don't
beyond
know.
the wall is all it is. Maybe it's just
I think
another
there
way of
are
them.
lands beyond the wall, but
I feel like Nightmare Before Christmas was almost kind of a Hollow Earth story as well. Because like the
Oh,
entrance to
what?
Halloween Town was through a tree that went downstairs.
Yeah. Yep. So, and now that
Well,
actually goes
and peop-
back to the point I was saying before. Like maybe all of these things that we believe in, Santa Claus, Halloween, demons, or whatever, all that shit is from shit we seen from the Hollow Earth. And which would make sense too, because we got demons and crazy stuff down there. Of course, we're gonna call hell down, right? Bam, you're going to hell. Now you're running into those motherfuckers from the Hollow Earth, and that is nothing we were fucking raised around. Never seen any of this shit, but it's normal.
and there's supposed entrances to subterranean whatevers, right? All over the planet. I mean, there's
Yeah.
ways of getting below, and a lot of them that are maybe like touristy. Dude, I remember I went into a cave one time up by
Multnomah Falls or something.
Mount St. Helens.
Yep.
It's called
Okay.
the Ape Cave, and we
Been
went
there.
in there, and there's always seems to be like places they're like, has a sign that says do not enter. And you're
Right.
like, oh, it must be dangerous, right? But then I wonder, is that really why it's closed?
So now I'm glad that you brought that up. So I was watching on the Y-Files again, obviously, because I love that guy. So if anybody gets a chance, look up Y-Files on YouTube. Dude's money. He was talking about this guy that used to do hiking or whatever in the desert. He'd hike, he'd you'd find caves and then just go discover caves and get into them or whatever. And he was in Nevada, and this is a crazy fact that I just learned the other day. 80% of Nevada is owned by the United States government. Like you can look at the map of the land owned by the government and it's red. All you see is a road going across the top part of Nevada, some little spots or whatever, but everything else is government owned land. That's where Area 51 is. This dude's out in Nevada hiking and he finds this cave and he said it looks like a perfectly shaped M. It's called the M cave. And he said by the time he got there, his body started vibrating and he could feel like all this pressure and stuff like it was pushing him away. So he left.
Huh.
And they came back, put it on YouTube, and everybody started looking for it. So they had another guy go out there and they start looking. Nobody can find the cave. And they're like, you know what? Maybe the government figured out that they found it and they blocked it off. So they started looking for M-shaped holes that were covered by different kinds of rock. So they found this M-shaped hole that was covered by different kinds of rock. You can see the different cuts in it or whatever. And the guy's like, yeah, I can't get in there. So he starts walking away. And like 5 minutes after walking away, he's like, I didn't really feel anything vibrate in my body. The dude stops. He starts throwing up. So the thing that the guy on the Wi-Fi was saying, like the government has these weapons where they'll hit you with a sound wave or whatever, and it'll just like a couple millimeters underneath your skin, heat your skin up with radiation, and it'll make you nauseous. And you can watch this guy's video. He's walking along. He's like, he just starts fucking throwing up. He's like, man, I'm getting kind of hot, and he starts throwing up. So when he went to the cave underneath some rocks, he found this Area 51 sign. Shit, look at that. Came back a couple days later or whatever, and there's a brand new sign sitting in front of that cave entrance he found and said, do not enter Area 51 property. You will be prosecuted or some shit like that. I was like, I think they found it. So that right there kind of makes me think like they're trying to protect something, obviously. Maybe it's another entrance. Maybe that's why they own most of Nevada, because they found an entrance and they didn't want to, take the chance of somebody else finding another entrance in the same area. So like, we're going to need all this. And then they set Area 51 up. Here comes the Greys, not extraterrestrial, terrestrial, right? So they're not fucking UFO bound. They're coming from underneath. They came out of that cave. And that's where our aliens.
What you're saying is that Area 51 is really a base that's controlling an entrance to the inner Earth.
I kind of think so.
These subterranean Greys, not extraterrestrial Greys, live or contact through. Interesting.
And I'm wondering if they have because we have the Greys. Like, how many other different alien species do you remember, like from movies or, folklore?
There's all sorts, and they're all based on like how they look too. Like, there's tall ones, there's darker ones.
You got the reptilians.
Ones.
So who's to say they didn't jump underground? They're probably running shit down there or whatever. They got their own different countries, but they've been around for millions of years.
Well, and then you even have like biblical.
They have more power, or more knowledge or technology and shit.
And you have like biblical entities too, like Anunnaki and Nephilim, right. And
Could you imagine how crazy the Hollow Earth would be if it was
if dinosaurs
filled up with all the shit that we don't have anymore that we know about though, or we've been told about?
Right. Yeah. And that's pretty fucking obvious to me. What you're saying. Well, that's funny what you're saying, because like how many times have you heard of like a story of like this cave entrance that no one goes into because it smells like sulfur,
right?
Or it has a poisonous gas coming out of it. And then as you're saying this, I'm wondering, I'm like, is that just a scare tactic to keep people out of there?
Right. Yeah. So now I'm wondering, like, different regions of the world have different mythologies, different monsters. Like Mexico's got the chupacabra, we got the Bigfoot up here. So maybe there's different, like when you find an area like that, maybe there is an entrance in that area, and maybe the people that lived underneath that area are that country full of those people, you know what I mean, or whatever, that country full of those things, and they come out and we see them, but they're like, fuck, we're not coming out here. These guys are crazy.
Here, I'm going to attribute it to this. This is what I'm going to attribute our existence to. M. Night Shyamalan probably did it the best. Remember The Village?
Yep.
Yeah.
The Village, if anybody hasn't seen it, it's a controlled society where only a few people know the truth, and they keep the basic. What would you call that era that they lived in? What would that be like? Pilgrim, fucking colonial, yeah, colonial.
type
Yeah.
kind of.
And no one ever went into the woods, which their little town was surrounded by woods. No one ever went
Because
to
they
the woods
scared them with monsters. They're like, oh, look at all
because
these
they
fucking
had that
monsters.
fucking creature. But once they overcame that fear and fucking challenged it, they found the wall and they realized that they're fucking
And they
holy
just never
shit.
came back. They're like, oh, fuck that.
So
Wow.
what are the chances that's what we're dealing with? You know, like they fear us, they scare us out of doing all sorts of stuff, exploring
What's up,
caves,
Antarctica?
going to Antarctica. You know, don't go to Antarctica, you're gonna freeze and die, right? It's too harsh. Going to space, you know, any of these things, they fear us out of even we're so conditioned to be scared of these things that we just take what they say as fact and we don't even challenge the shit anymore because we're so indoctrinated.
Yeah, and there's
Yep.
so many people saying the same thing. It's hard to question stuff anymore. 'cause
And you have everyone
then
saying
you-
the same shit.
yeah. And then you get labeled as crazy, or, that's why everybody with a conspiracy theory is just labeled as crazy, because you're not going along with the narrative, bro. You're not going along with it telling you. You're thinking outside the box. There's something wrong with you, man. There's something wrong with you.
You're just a fucking kooky conspiracy theorist, and then
Yeah.
what that is they're just regurgitating that fucking terminology to make
They're wa-
people to put people under a certain umbrella, you know.
Right. They don't want to. They don't want to fight what they've been learned or what they've been taught or been told their whole life. They don't want to. They don't want to go outside that box. This is my box. Get the fuck back in here, bitch.
So Sam Tripoli, who's the host of one of my favorite podcasts, the Tinfoil Hat, he said he has this great saying about people that I think is fucking spot on. He says the reason why you have people that do that or will call other people crazy or whatever, because everybody wants to think they have a great bullshit meter. Everybody wants to
Yeah.
think that
I
they
have
can
all
tell
these.
the bullshit from the truth. And so that's why you get attacked when you start asking questions. Hold on, Corbin. How many fucking interactions, how many ugly interactions you've had on Facebook because you fucking say
Oh
something
gosh,
that's
so many.
flat earth related or whatever.
Well, that's social media
right?
though, too, bro. People attack people for everything. What the fuck do you mean? A's the first.
Even
letter
if
to
he just put a laughing face on the space picture.
I like that shit. 'Cause I like
Which
challenging
that's
your-
the epitome of what I'm talking about, right? I mean, like you can't even like it's so ridiculous. You can't even have a conversation with these people because they just go straight to you're a retard, you're fucking dumb. You do your
Insulting,
homework,
yeah.
do some research, bro. Look at here's a video you could watch, and I'll show you how all the
It's
solar
always-
system
yeah.
works because of some digitally animated bullshit that some
It's
motherfucking
always wrong if they don't think the way you do. It's always wrong.
Right.
If you
Yeah.
think the way they do.
because they
and it
have a
goes
better
for
bullshit
everything.
meter.
You get that. You
Yeah.
get that with conspiracy theorists too. You know what I mean? They're not willing to listen to anything else. They're like, this is how it is, and then they
Which,
will argue
if
to
you-
the death for it and
if
tell
you
you how
think of-
wrong you are and you're the stupid. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's the same. It's
And if
just
you
like
really
the
think
internet.
about it,
Like how
If
many
you really think-
times have you been in a real life situation where you had a conversation with somebody about this and it turned into that kind of conversation? You don't. You don't.
Elementary school.
If you're face to face with somebody having a conversation, they're not gonna start calling you fucking stupid. You know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? You're gonna have a fucking conversation. But the internet creates like a
Conspiracy therapy.
anonymous kind of thing. Anonymity. I don't know what the fucking word is. But
yes.
you don't have to like live up to the consequences of you being a fucking asshole for the most part. You know what I mean?
They're window warriors, dude. They fight
Yeah.
behind a screen.
Right. It's like dogs barking through a fence until you open the fence and they're best friends. Right?
I saw that video.
I know. That's what made me think of it. And they're like,
Dude,
chasing the
that shit
fence
was-
and the opening. They're like, all right,
I
it's
was
open.
like, bro, when I saw that video, I was like, what the fuck? What am I just
It's the
watching?
internet.
The
That's
dogs
the
are
internet.
viciously
It's about
viciously barking and growling at each other, and then the gate opens and they're like, hey, what's up, bro?
Best
How you
friends.
doing,
Well,
man?
the-
The gate
man, I haven't
closes
seen
and
you
they're
in a long
just
time. What's going on?